I'm not for sale.
I'm not for sale.
I'm not for sale.
I'm not for sale.
Not sale.
I am not for sale.
I am not for sale.
I'm not for sale.
Hi, I am Dee, and I am just one of many trying to raise awareness of sexual and consumer exploitation of children worldwide. By supporting Innocence is not for sale, you can let free the consumerist and hypersexual influence the mainstream music and media hold over our society. Here in the more developed countries, sex sells and children are exposed to consumerist influences every single day. For the sake of profit and in the name of capitalism, children worldwide, especially in the less developed countries, are working in unsafe and unethical factories to subsidize our consumer lifestyle. Some of these victims are sometimes as young as 5. Children are being sold into prostitution at the tender age of 11. It happens all over the world, and with your support, we are here to put a stop to it. Pop stars such as Keisha, Rihanna, Nicki Minaj, and Lady Gaga are releasing songs and videos filled with explicit and violent content. Under the bombardment of mainstream media, our children are under pressure to conform to society's perception of beauty every single day, leading them to do virtually anything for the latest gadgets or designer brands. Underage alcohol consumption and sex appear to go hand in hand too, as the number of teenage pregnancies and reports of sexually transmitted infections just keeps increasing. The exposure to such provocative material, along with the airbrushed imagery of size 0 beauty figures, is creating a generation of insecure, damaged, self-destructive youths with false idols telling them how they should act and look, imbuing them with the desire to become everything they see on the TV screen.
I am not for sale.
I am not for sale.
We are not for sale.
The extent of this mass consumption has bloomed into a consumerist world, altering people's behavior, mindset, and embedding a false need for the latest gadgets, clothing, and home improvements, all while neglecting our common good. The American dream, a cliché fallacy of the perfect way of life, shows us the extent of the hold society has over us, conditioning us into feeding their perception of how people should be. As a result of this, Africa, Asia, and South America have come to know some of the most appalling and unjust work conditions, sometimes making as little as 10p an hour and sometimes nothing, while work hours range from 30 to 80 hours per week. The International Labour Organization estimated that 250 million children aged between 5 and 14 are put to work, 61% of them in Asia, 32% in Africa, and 7% in Latin America. As employers prize them for their small fingers and agile bodies, 60% of these children are forced to do work which is likely to endanger their health, lead to premature death, and jeopardize their morals and psychological health. Boys and girls as young as 11 are trafficked and exploited by adults who make money off their helpless bodies and steal a childhood they will never know. We will be exploring the extent of this worldwide, and we will uncover how such a corrupt industry exists, as well as getting insights into the dangerous and unacceptable work conditions people are forced to endure. Innocence is Not for Sale will be a combination of a documentary, book, and music project. A chance for you to put those words into actions and help stop the sexual and consumer exploitation of our children. Our intent lies in highlighting the true extent of consumerism, looking especially into those who are using child labor and child prostitution for profit. We also aim to spread awareness to people on how the mainstream media uses sexual imagery, looking into the abuse that these children suffer. Part of this project will also be about education, to enlighten our men on how to treat young girls and not to use our sisters, our daughters, our mothers, our women as a source of income and tool for their enjoyment. Years of research has given us an insight into the extent of the sexualization of children and how some of them are forced into prostitution. Some are even abused in their own homes. It is heartbreaking to know the impact this is having on our world, and what is even more saddening is that this behavior is not unpopular, feeding into what seems to be a never-ending cycle of abuse and exploitation. We want this to be a people-funded project rather than having corporate and commercial backing, which is why your support means the world to us and all the children who are suffering at the hands of abusive and sexual predators. This is also for those adults who have suffered, some who still need to heal from the horrific treatment they endured as defenseless children. The project is intended to highlight vital issues and help people realize the extent of the problems and challenges children worldwide are facing every day. It is to bring awareness, to find solutions to help our children. An ancient African proverb states, "It takes a village to raise a child." By working together, we can fulfill our collective role of making a better society for the next generation. It is time we stopped talking and started doing. Do not let the abuse and exploitation of our children continue. Show you care and support the project. Innocence is not for sale.
We are not for sale.
I'm not for sale.
I'm not for sale.
We are not for sale.
I'm not for sale.
I am not for sale.
My child is not for sale.
My child is not for sale.
We're not for sale.
Hello. 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 Hello.